The wind wasn't just blowing, it was screaming. Imagine a river, bloated and black under a sky that had forgotten the sun, churning with a hunger that felt personal. And in the middle of that chaos, a life was already being hunted before it even took its first breath. Welcome. I'm Ariel, and today we're diving into a story that feels like it's carved out of the very mountains of history. It's a tale of cosmic proportions involving a deity named Abraxas and a chosen savior named Yahshao. But more than that, it's a story about survival. So, let's set the stage. High above our world, in a realm of pure light and order, exists Abraxas. Now, Abraxas isn't just a god in the way we usually think of them. He is the source, the architect, the one who sees the threads of all existence. And Abraxas looked down. He looked down at the Hmong people, a people of deep spirit and ancient roots. And he saw their struggle. He saw their pain. He decided that they needed a leader, a king, someone who wasn't just a man, but a bridge between heaven and earth. That bridge was Yahshao. Abraxas chose to send a part of the divine down into the physical world. But here's the thing about bringing light into a dark place. The darkness always notices. And the darkness in this story has a name: the Angel of Death. This wasn't just any entity. This was a follower who had turned, a shadow that trailed Yahshao from the very moment he left the celestial gates. The Angel of Death didn't want a savior on earth. It wanted the Hmong people to remain under the thumb of mortality and fear. The pursuit began immediately. While Yahshao was still nestled in his mother's womb, protected by the warmth of her body, the Angel of Death was already plotting. It didn't wait for him to be born to try and snuff out his light. It struck early, and it struck hard. Picture this. Yahshao's mother is crossing a river. Suddenly, the sky turns the color of a fresh bruise. The rain starts falling so thick you can't see your own hand in front of your face. The wind picks up, whipping the water into a frenzy of white foam and jagged currents. This wasn't a natural storm. This was the Angel of Death reaching down with cold, spectral fingers to drown the unborn king. The river rose like a wall, trying to swallow the mother and the child within her. Can you imagine the terror? The feeling of the ground vanishing beneath you. But Abraxas was watching. He didn't send his son down just to let him perish in a flood. With a power that defied the elements, Abraxas reached through the veil. He calmed the heart of the mother and stilled the water just enough. He saved them. The first attempt failed. But the Angel of Death is nothing if not persistent. It waited. It watched as the months passed, as the child grew within the womb, and finally, as Yahshao entered the world. A beautiful boy, born into a humble home, destined for greatness. But the shadow was still there, lurking in the corners. When Yahshao was just a couple of months old, think about how fragile a baby is at that age. The Angel of Death tried again. This time, it wasn't water. It was fire. A sudden, roaring blaze that erupted out of nowhere, threatening to turn the cradle into an altar of ash. The heat was intense, the kind that blisters the skin before the flames even touch you. The house was a tinderbox. But once again, the divine hand of Abraxas intervened. It was like an invisible shield was placed around the infant. The fire roared, but Yahshao remained untouched. You have to wonder, right? Why such a relentless pursuit? Why would the angel of death go to such lengths? It's because Yahshao represented a shift in the power balance of the universe. If he lived, the Hmong people would have a direct line to the divine. They would no longer be lost. After the fire failed, the angel of death realized that brute force might not be enough. It needed to be more subtle, more insidious. It decided to attack the very thing that sustains life: nourishment. It decided to target the bond between a mother and her child. Only a couple of days after Yahshao was born, the angel of death sent a woman, described in the old stories as an unclean woman. Now, this isn't about physical dirt. This was a spiritual uncleanness, a corruption. She was sent with a specific, cruel mission: to steal the mother's milk. Think about the cruelty of that. To starve a newborn, to take away the only thing that can keep him alive. The woman came like a thief in the night, using dark magic to dry up the mother's source of life. Suddenly, the Savior was starving. He was crying, and there was nothing to give him. This is where the story takes a turn that I find absolutely beautiful. It's a moment of profound human connection and sacrifice. When the mother could no longer provide milk, the family didn't give up. They didn't let the shadow win. Instead, they turned to a method of deep communal love. Yahshao's mother, his sister, and his grandmother, 3 generations of women, came together. They took rice, the staple of life for the Hmong people, and they did something remarkable. They chewed the rice themselves over and over until it became a liquid, a soft paste. They would then take this pre-chewed rice and feed it to Yahshao from their own mouths. It's such a visceral, intimate image, isn't it? It's the ultimate act of devotion. They were literally giving him the strength of their own bodies to ensure he survived. Think about the symbolism there. Yahshao, the son of a high god, was being kept alive by the humble rice of the earth, processed through the love of his family. It grounded him. It tied him to the Hmong people in a way that even divine milk couldn't have. He became one of them. As he grew, Yahshao wasn't like other children. There was a weight to him, a clarity in his eyes, that was unsettling to some and a comfort to others. He knew. Even as a young boy, he understood exactly who he was. He wasn't just a child of the village. He was the son of Abraxas. He understood his mission. He wasn't here for glory or for gold. He was here to save the Hmong people. But what does saving mean in this context? It wasn't just about protection from enemies. It was about a spiritual awakening. He was their king, but a king of the spirit. As he reached adulthood, his powers began to manifest in ways that left people in awe. He became a healer. People would come from miles away carrying their sick, they're broken, and they're dying, and Yahshao would touch them, and the sickness would simply vanish. But it wasn't just physical healing. Yahshao had a gift that was perhaps even more profound. He could feel your energy. He didn't just see you, he felt the vibration of your soul. He knew if you were grieving, if you were angry, or if you were lost in the dark. Imagine standing before someone who could look past your skin and your bones and see the very light of your essence. He could realign that energy, bringing peace to the restless and hope to the hopeless. He was a living conduit for the power of Abraxas. The angel of death, of course, never truly went away. It just changed its tactics. It realized that it couldn't kill Yahshao, so it tried to corrupt the world around him. But Yahshao's presence was like a beacon. Where he walked, the shadows had to retreat. He was the king of the Hmong, their protector. Let's look closer at that idea of energy. In many ancient traditions, the concept of life force, or prana, or chi is central. But for Yahshao, it was something more personal. It was the signature of Abraxas within every living being. He was teaching his people how to find that light within themselves. He would tell them, "You are not just victims of fate. You are children of the Source." He wanted them to understand that the angel of death only had power if they lived in fear. By healing their bodies and reading their energy, he was showing them their own worth. The story of the chewed rice always sticks with me. It's a reminder that even the most divine beings need the support of the community. Yahshao could heal the blind, but he needed his grandmother to feed him when he was weak. There's a profound lesson in that humility. It suggests that the divine doesn't exist in a vacuum. It needs a vessel, and it needs a foundation of love. The Hmong women who saved him from the unclean woman's curse were just as much a part of the divine plan as Abraxas himself. They were the ones who kept the light burning. Now, let's talk about the Hmong people themselves. Their history is one of incredible resilience, of moving across borders, of maintaining their culture through oral traditions and deep spiritual practices. For them, a figure like Yahshao isn't just a myth. He's a symbol of their enduring spirit. He represents the idea that no matter how many times the angel of death, in the form of war, or famine, or displacement, tries to take them down, there is a higher power watching over them. There is a king who knows their energy, who feels their pain, and who offers a path to healing. But wait, let's go back to the beginning for a moment. Why would a follower of Yahshao become the angel of death? That's a fascinating detail. It suggests a betrayal. It suggests that the greatest threats often come from those who were once closest to the light. Maybe the angel of death was jealous of Yahshao's mission. Maybe it believed that humanity didn't deserve a savior. Whatever the reason, that rivalry created the friction that defined Yahshao's earthly journey. It was a cosmic drama played out in the mud and the fire of our world. And what about Abraxas? In many Gnostic texts, Abraxas is a figure of both sun and shadow, a totality of being. In this story, he is the benevolent father, the one who intervenes when the darkness gets too close. He is the ultimate safety net for the soul. When we think about Yahshao healing the sick, we should think about it as more than just fixing a physical ailment. It was a restoration of the divine order. Every time he cured someone, he was pushing back against the chaos that the angel of death tried to sow. And that ability to feel energy, imagine how that would change your life. If you knew that your king didn't just hear your words, but felt the weight of your heart, it creates a level of accountability and also a level of incredible comfort. You are never truly alone when your energy is known. So, what does this story tell us today? In a world that often feels like it's being whipped by a storm or threatened by fire, the legend of Yahshao offers a different perspective. It tells us that protection isn't always about the absence of danger, but about the presence of a higher purpose. It tells us that our survival often depends on the people who are willing to chew the rice for us, the ones who provide the humble, everyday support that keeps our spirits alive. It's a story about the intersection of the cosmic and the domestic. I often wonder what Yahshao would say if he were here now, reading the energy of our modern world. Would he see the same shadows? Would he see the same unclean influences trying to steal our nourishment, our joy, our connection to the source? Probably, but he would also see the light. He would see the resilience of people who refuse to give up, who continue to heal one another, and who look to the sky and remember that they are descendants of something much greater than their circumstances. The Hmong people have carried this story through generations, whispered it in the dark, sang it in their songs. It's a living testament. Yahshao isn't just a figure from the past. He's an archetype of the protector, the one who stands between us and the finality of the shadow. Let's reflect on that unclean woman one more time. In many cultures, unclean refers to being out of balance with the natural or spiritual order. By stealing the milk, she was trying to break the natural cycle of life. She was an agent of stagnation, of death by starvation. But the response, the chewed rice, was an act of supreme creativity. When the natural way was blocked, the family found a new way. They innovated out of love. That is the essence of the Hmong spirit, and perhaps the human spirit at its best. We find a way, and Abraxas, the silent observer, the occasional intervener. He represents the faith that there is a logic to the universe, even when it feels like everything is falling apart. He didn't make life easy for Yahshao, but he made it possible. Yahshao's journey from a hunted infant to a powerful healer is a roadmap for the soul. It shows us that we are born into a struggle, but we are also born with a lineage of light. We have a king within us, a part of the divine that knows our energy and can heal our wounds. As we wrap up this journey through the legend of Yahshao, I want you to think about your own energy. What would someone like Yahshao feel if they stood next to you? Is your energy bright and clear? Or is it weighed down by the shadows of the angel of death? Remember, you have the power of Abraxas behind you. You have the support of those who came before you, those who chewed the rice so you could live. You are part of a story that is much bigger than any storm or any fire. Yahshao, the son of Abraxas, the king of the Hmong, the reader of energy. His story is a reminder that we are never truly forsaken. The darkness may follow us, but the light is what defines us. And that light? It's indestructible. Let's dive a bit deeper into the specific cultural context here, because it's so rich. The Hmong people have a history that is often defined by their relationship with the land and the spirit world. For them, the spiritual and the physical aren't two separate things. They are woven together. So when Yahshao is healing the sick, he's not just fixing a body like a mechanic fixes a car. He's restoring a spiritual harmony that has been disrupted. He's looking at the person's ancestors, their environment, and their internal state all at once. That's what it means to feel energy. It's a holistic view of existence. And in this story, the angel of death represents the ultimate disruption. It's the force that tries to tear those connections apart, to separate the mother from the child, the people from their king, and the soul from its source. The river attempt, the fire attempt. These are elemental attacks. Water and fire. It's as if the angel of death was trying to use the very building blocks of the world to destroy the one who was sent to save it. But Abraxas, being the master architect, has authority over those elements. It's like a game of cosmic chess. The angel of death moves a piece, the storm, and Abraxas counters with a moment of calm. The angel of death moves the fire, and Abraxas counters with a shield of grace. It shows that while the darkness is powerful, it is always a step behind the light. And then there's the milk. Milk is the first gift we receive in this world. It's pure, it's white, it's life-giving. By sending an unclean woman to steal it, the angel of death was trying to poison the very start of Yahshao's life. It was a very targeted, very cruel psychological warfare. But look at the resilience of the women. The mother, the sister, the grandmother. They didn't panic. They didn't give up. They went to work. They took the rice, the grain that sustains the entire community, and they made it the new milk. There's something so earthy and powerful about that. It says that when our primary source of life is taken, we have to look to our community and our traditions to find a new way to survive. The rice was already there. The love was already there. They just had to combine them in a way they never had before. This part of the story really highlights the importance of the family unit in Hmong culture. It's not just about the individual, it's about the collective. Yahshao's survival was a collective victory. He couldn't have done it alone, and that's a huge lesson for someone who is destined to be a king. A king who has been fed by the mouths of his people is a king who will never forget them. He literally carries their essence within him. His blood is made of their rice and their care. This makes his later work as a healer and a leader so much more meaningful. When he looks at a sick person, He's not looking at a stranger. He's looking at someone who is part of the same fabric that kept him alive. He feels their energy because their energy is, in a way, his energy. They are inextricably linked. And what about his king status? In many traditions, a king is someone who sits on a throne and gives orders. But Yahshao's kingship is different. It's a kingship of service. He is the king because he can do what no one else can. He can bridge the gap to Abraxas. He is the king because he can see the energy that others are blind to. He can guide them through the darkness because he has already survived the darkest attempts on his own life. He has authority over death because death tried to take him and failed time and time again. Think about the confidence that gives a people. To know that your leader has faced the angel of death in the cradle and won. To know that he is backed by the power of Abraxas. It turns a vulnerable people into a resilient one. It gives them a spiritual armor. Now, let's consider the unclean woman once more. Who was she? Was she a demon? A corrupted human? In many ways, she represents the temptations and the bitterness that can infect a community. She is the one who takes rather than gives, who dries up the source rather than nurturing it. By overcoming her influence through the communal feeding of rice, the family was also performing a spiritual cleansing. They were saying, "You can take our milk, but you cannot take our will to care for one another." They turned a moment of lack into a moment of abundance. It's also interesting that Yahshao had to eat from his sister and grandmother too. It wasn't just the mother. This spreads the responsibility of the divine child across the whole family. It makes him the son of the entire lineage, not just one woman. As he grew and began to heal people, imagine the scenes in those villages. The quiet awe as he placed his hands on someone. The way the air must have felt charged, vibrant, like the atmosphere before a lightning strike. That's the energy he was working with. He could feel where the energy was blocked, where the shadow had managed to seep in. And with a touch, or maybe just a look, he could clear it. He was like a gardener for the soul, pulling out the weeds of sickness and fear, so the light of Abraxas could shine through. But why did he have to come to earth at all? If Abraxas is so powerful, why not just heal everyone from heaven? This is the great mystery of many spiritual traditions. It seems that for true transformation to happen, the divine must experience the human condition. Yahshao had to feel hunger. He had to feel the cold of the river and the heat of the fire. He had to know what it was like to be targeted and vulnerable. Only then could he truly be the king of the Hamong. Only then could he truly understand the energy he was healing. His energy reading wasn't just a psychic trick. It was a deep, empathetic resonance. He felt your pain because he had felt pain. He felt your fear because he had been hunted. His divinity was tempered by his humanity, making him the perfect savior for a people who have known so much struggle. And the angel of death? It serves as the necessary opposition. Without the shadow, we wouldn't recognize the light. The angel of death's failures only serve to prove Yahshao's strength and Abraxas's providence. It's a reminder that even the most terrifying forces have limits. I think about the Hmong elders telling this story to their grandchildren. They are passing on more than just a legend. They are passing on a worldview. They are saying, "Look at Yahshao. Look at how he survived. Look at how his family saved him. You are part of that same strength." It's a story that builds a foundation of identity. It says that the Hmong are not just a people of the earth, but a people of the stars, protected by Abraxas and led by a king who knows their very souls. It's a powerful narrative of belonging and protection. So let's take a moment to sit with that. The image of the baby in the fire, the baby in the storm, the baby being fed rice by his grandmother. These are the images of a God becoming a man, and a man becoming a legend. It's the story of Yahshao. In our own lives, we might not face literal fire or supernatural storms, but we all have our angels of death. We all have those shadows that try to tell us we're not enough, that try to steal our milk, our life force. We all have moments where we feel targeted by circumstances. In those moments, can we remember Yahshao? Can we remember that we have a source of light within us that is backed by something much greater? Can we look to our family, our community, to help us find a new way to nourish ourselves when the old ways fail? And can we learn to read our own energy? Can we become aware of the vibrations we're putting out into the world? Yahshao showed us that energy is the key to healing. If we can clear our own shadows, we can become healers in our own right, in our own small way. The legend of Yahshao is a call to resilience. It's a call to recognize the divine in the mundane, in a bowl of rice, in the touch of a hand, in the breath of a child. It's a story that tells us that no matter how hard the wind blows, the light will not be put out. As we conclude this episode, I want to leave you with one final thought. The story says Yahshao knew himself. He knew he was the son of Abraxas. That self-knowledge was his greatest power. It allowed him to stand firm against the angel of death and to heal those around him. What if we all had a bit of that self-knowledge? What if we all recognized our own connection to the source, whatever we believe that to be? How would that change how we face our storms? How would it change how we treat one another? Maybe we'd realize that we're all kings and queens of our own spirits. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the Hmong legend of Yahshao and Abraxas. It's been a deep dive into a world of myth, magic, and profound human connection. I hope it's given you something to think about, something to carry with you. Until next time, keep an eye on your energy, stay close to those who nourish you, and remember, even in the middle of the storm, there is a light that can never be drowned. I'm Ariel, and this has been a story of the descent of Yahshao. Actually, let's pause for a second. I want to talk about one more thing before I go. The idea of the unclean woman, it's such a specific detail. In many myths, there's a figure who tries to interrupt the hero's journey at the very beginning. Think of Hera trying to kill Hercules with snakes in his cradle. It's a universal theme, isn't it? The vulnerability of the new. Whether it's a new life, a new idea, or a new movement, there's always something that tries to stop it before it can take root. The unclean woman is that force of interruption. She represents the resistance to change. But the rice is the answer. It's the most basic, common thing turned into a miracle. It reminds me that we don't always need flashy, supernatural solutions to our problems. Sometimes, the solution is right there in our pantry, in our traditions, in our daily lives. The miracle wasn't just that Yahshao survived, it was how he survived. He survived through the physical labor and the love of the women in his life. That's a miracle of the heart. And maybe that's the most important healing Yahshao ever did. Healing the idea that we have to be completely self-sufficient. Even a God King needs his grandma. There's so much power in that humility. It grounds the entire cosmic drama in something we can all understand. It makes Yahshao not just a distant figure to be worshipped, but a brother to be loved and a leader to be followed. So as you go about your day, think about the rice in your life. What are the small, everyday things that keep you going? Who are the people who have chewed the rice for you when you couldn't nourish yourself? Take a moment to be grateful for them. And remember Yahshao's energy. He could feel it all, the good, the bad, the beautiful, and the broken. He didn't turn away from any of it. He used it to heal. Maybe we can do a little bit of that too. Maybe we can face the world with our eyes open and our hearts ready to mend what's torn. Okay, now I'm really wrapping up. This story has so many layers, and I feel like we've only just scratched the surface. But that's the beauty of these tales. They stay with you, unfolding in your mind long after the words have stopped. The Hmong legend of Yahshao is a treasure. It's a story of cosmic battles and family devotion, of high gods and humble rice. It's a story of survival against all odds. And most of all, it's a story of hope. A hope that is as old as the mountains and as bright as the sun. Take care of your energy, everyone. And remember, Abraxas is watching, and the light is always, always stronger than the shadow. This is Ariel, signing off. Stay curious, stay connected, and keep listening to the stories that shape our world. One last thought. Did you ever notice how the angel of death is described as a follower of Yahshao? It's almost like the shadow is the price of the light. You can't have one without the other. Yahshao's greatness was defined by the scale of the opposition he faced. If there had been no storm, no fire, no theft of milk, would his kingship be as meaningful? Probably not. It was the struggle that proved his divinity. It was the resistance that made his light shine so much brighter. It's a paradoxical truth, but a powerful one. So, when you face your own followers, those challenges that seem to dog your every step, maybe try to see them as Yahshao did. not just as obstacles, but as the very things that will eventually prove who you really are. They are the friction that creates the spark. And with that, I'll leave you to your own story. May your path be clear, your energy be bright, and your rice be plentiful. Goodbye for real this time, and I'll catch you in the next tale